All right, welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into a wealth creation strategy that's going to challenge, well, pretty much everything we've ever been taught about the traditional 9 to 5 grind. We're talking about a massive financial shift happening right under our noses and exactly how you can position yourself to take advantage of it. To do this, we're unpacking the frameworks from a book called Crypto New Rich by Troy Harris. Now, don't worry, this isn't some super dense, highly technical manual on cryptography. It's actually a really focused, strategic guide aimed at helping everyday people navigate the crypto markets, build specialized knowledge, and ultimately engineer their own financial freedom. So here is our roadmap for today. 1. The wealth creation opportunity. 2. Blockchain and crypto essentials. 3. Bitcoin as digital gold. 4. The 4-year cycle. And 5. The Crypto Pentagon. Number 1. The wealth creation opportunity. Before we figure out where we're going, the author asks a pretty uncomfortable question. What if the masses just have it all completely wrong? I mean, we're all taught the exact same script, right? Go to school, get a job, work incredibly hard, and save up until you're 67. But when you actually look at the math, with average life expectancies hovering around 68 to 72 years, that leaves a painfully short little window to actually enjoy your retirement. It's a totally outdated plan, yet it's still the default operating system for almost everyone. The author describes this as a fog over the land that keeps roughly 97% of people just blindly going through the motions. But if you're willing to wake up, a completely new path exists. As former hedge fund manager Raoul Pal points out, crypto might just be the biggest opportunity of our lifetime. It offers literally the fastest generation of wealth in history. And here's the absolute kicker. This is the very first time everyday retail investors like us can get into a major asset class before the massive institutional investors. That never happens. Now, a crucial point here is that building wealth in this space isn't about blind luck, not at all. It follows a universal law of investing. Money naturally flows from the impatient straight to the patient. It moves from emotional beginner investors who don't understand the market directly into the pockets of expert investors who know exactly how to time their entries and exits. Number 2, blockchain and crypto essentials. Okay, before we can actually build wealth, we kind of need to demystify the tech, right? Think of it this way. On the regular internet, if I have a digital photo, I can just email you a copy. Now we both have it. We just copied the file. Great for photos, terrible for money. You can't just copy a $20 bill. A blockchain fixes this by creating a unique, permanent entry on a distributed digital ledger. Imagine an old pirate captain's logbook detailing his gold, but instead of one physical copy that could easily be lost or forged, thousands of computers around the world hold that exact same logbook and verify every single entry. It literally cannot be erased or faked. So what this does is essentially add a permanent trust layer to the internet itself. For the very first time in human history, ownership can be verified and value transferred digitally, anywhere on the planet without needing a centralized middleman, like a bank or a government, to oversee it. Now, I know exactly what some of you are thinking right now. You're echoing all that common skepticism we hear every single day. You're sitting there thinking, yeah, but what if the government just bans it? Or isn't it mostly just used by criminals? Or isn't the volatility just way too crazy? But when you look at it from an informed investor's perspective, that fog really starts to clear. For instance, because it's a globally distributed network, no single government actually has the physical ability to shut it down. And as for criminals, the public ledger makes everything highly traceable, so it's actually a terrible tool for crime. And the volatility? That's simply viewed as a totally normal characteristic of a young, rapidly growing market that's just trying to find its true value. Number 3, Bitcoin as digital gold. When we compare Bitcoin directly to physical gold, the digital upgrade becomes super obvious. Both act as a solid store of value, sure, but Bitcoin is infinitely more portable. I mean, you can carry $1 billion across the border on a tiny USB drive. Try doing that with gold bricks. Plus, it has true digital divisibility, meaning it can be broken down into tiny, tiny fractions called satoshis. But the absolute most powerful feature here is its perfect scarcity. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. Ever. It's hard-coded into the protocol, and about 19.5 million have already been mined. This absolute scarcity is a glaring mathematical contrast to traditional fiat currencies, like dollars or euros, where central banks can just print money endlessly, basically stealth taxing the cash you already have in your pocket. And this creates a staggering contrast in purchasing power over time. On one hand, relentless money printing means your standard $200 grocery run buys less and less food every single year because of inflation. On the flip side, Bitcoin's strictly fixed supply means its purchasing power historically grows. As the years go by, it takes fewer and fewer Bitcoin to buy a major asset like a house. Number 4, the 4-year cycle. So how do we actually navigate this and profit? The author emphasizes mastering the absolute heartbeat of the market, an event known as the halving. Roughly every 4 years, the reward that miners receive for validating transactions is automatically cut in half by the underlying code. For example, recently, the daily supply of newly minted Bitcoin was slashed from 900 coins a day down to just 450. Why does this matter? Basic economics. When you combine a hard-coded supply shock, meaning suddenly there are way fewer coins available, with a massive demand shock driven by retail hype and traditional Wall Street ETFs piling in, you get an incredibly powerful dynamic. Less new supply plus a wave of new buyers has historically acted as absolute rocket fuel, launching massive post-halving bull markets. But remember what we said earlier about money flowing to the experts? Because timing the exact top or bottom of these markets is practically impossible. The winning strategy highlighted here is dollar cost averaging. Instead of trying to guess the absolute perfect day to buy, experts spread their purchases out gradually during those quiet, boring bear markets. And crucially, they also dollar cost average their sells during the absolute euphoria of the bull market. They lock in profits while everyone else is just getting greedy. Number 5, the Crypto Pentagon. So, how do we put all this together into an actual actionable strategy? Think of building wealth in crypto kind of like baking a cake. If you forget just one crucial ingredient, say the baking powder, the whole thing just goes flat. The author outlines 5 absolute non-negotiable ingredients required for your portfolio to truly succeed. Let's break these 5 down real quick. First, you have to understand the 4-year cycle we literally just talked about. Second, you need to identify the winning narratives, like what specific themes or tech is the market currently obsessing over. Third, you build a diversified portfolio aligned with those narratives. Fourth, you need the emotional discipline to master your timing for entries and exits. And fifth, you need to string together multiple cycles. Look, this is not some get-rich-quick overnight scheme. It's all about compounding your wins over multiple 4-year cycles to build true generational wealth. There is a really profound quote from Saylor to keep in mind here. Everybody gets Bitcoin at the price they deserve. The whole premise is that it takes time to study and truly understand this technology. Once you put in those hours, the light bulb goes on and you buy in. But if you let skepticism delay that education, well, the inevitable result is just buying in years later at a much, much higher price. Which brings us to the ultimate question. And hey, the choice is entirely yours. You now have the foundational map to navigate this new financial landscape. Are you going to stay comfortably blinded by the fog of the traditional 9-to-5 rat race, just crossing your fingers that your savings somehow outpace inflation? Or are you ready to take control, heavily invest in your own financial IQ, master these market cycles, and actually design your dream life? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I seriously encourage you to start putting in your 100 hours of research today.